Have you ever sat alone in a quiet room and felt like someone was there with you, even when no one else was around? A soft breeze with no window open, a warmth on your shoulder you couldn't explain, a presence just beyond the veil. And then, without warning, you remember someone you've lost, a name, a face, a moment you didn't get to hold on to long enough, and a question rises quietly in your heart. When someone you love, or someone you once knew, closes their eyes for the last time, who is the first soul they see? And now, where are they? What became of that soul after the body fell silent? For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. Across the world, from the mouths of those who have brushed death and returned, there is a pattern. Some saw a radiant light fill the room. Some heard their name spoken by a voice that felt older than time. Some saw a loved one, long past, waiting in stillness with open arms. Not all stories are the same, but all share one echo. I was not alone. You are watching Life After Death Unveiled, a space where we walk gently into the mysteries your soul has already begun to remember. Now, take a deep breath. Let the body settle. Let the heart soften. And together, let's begin. So, who comes to guide the soul when the body can no longer carry it? Thousands of people who've come close to death describe something they never forget. Not pain, not fear, but a presence. A silent presence. A radiant figure standing at the threshold between worlds. 1. Angels. Light and peace. Some say they saw a figure clothed in brilliance, not speaking, not demanding, just extending a hand full of light and peace. The time came when the beggar died and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. Luke 16:22. Across cultures, from the deserts of the Middle East to the mountains of Japan, angels appear with striking similarity. Beings of light, often genderless, wrapped in garments that shimmer. They don't force, they wait. They bring calm, not commands. Even those who had never believed in angels describe feeling completely safe in their presence. 2 ancestors. The ones who loved first others say it wasn't a stranger at all. It was someone they knew, someone who had gone before them. A woman once whispered, "I saw my grandmother standing at the end of a bright hallway. She had been gone for 10 years, but she looked at me like I'd just come home." In many cultures, this is no surprise. Ancestors are seen not as ghosts, but as guides, keepers of love that doesn't die. To see a parent, a sibling, even a lost child, is to feel grounded. It's as if the soul knows, I'm still connected. I'm not lost. 3. The being of light, the silent love. And then, there are those who saw no familiar face, but felt a presence beyond description. They call it a being of light. Sometimes they say it looked like a man, sometimes like no form at all. It didn't speak, but it filled them with overwhelming love. One man said, "I knew it was Christ, not because of what he looked like, but because of how I felt, known, accepted, forgiven, all at once." This being didn't ask what religion they were. It didn't list their sins. It simply loved. And for many, that was enough to follow it into the light. 4. One common thread. Some saw angels. Some saw a grandmother's smile. Some stood silently before a great light. But all of them felt they were not alone. No judgment, no commands, only a gentle invitation. Come, you are safe now. Because when the soul is ready to cross over, someone always comes to meet it. Always. There's a kind of sorrow we rarely speak aloud. It lingers in the quiet moments, in the way we stare too long at an old photo, or the way our breath catches when we hear a song, and remember who we no longer hear singing. It's the kind of grief that doesn't scream, because it doesn't need to. 1. The fear. They were alone. We rarely say it out loud, but deep down, we ask ourselves, were they afraid when they died? Did they feel the room go silent? Did they feel lost? Did they cry out for someone we couldn't send? We carry that question quietly, like a weight in the chest, especially if we weren't there. 2. Did they make it to where they were meant to go? Some carry another fear, one even harder to name. What if they didn't believe enough? What if they made too many mistakes? What if they passed before they had time to make peace? No one wants to say it, but the question still sits in the back of our minds. Did they make it? Or were they turned away? The soul longs to know, not for judgment, but for peace. 3. What if they never left? Others speak of dreams that feel too vivid, of seeing someone in the hallway, of hearing their name whispered when no one's there. Sometimes these moments comfort us, but other times they raise a question we don't know how to answer. What if they're still here? What if they haven't gone on yet? What if, out of fear, confusion, or longing, they couldn't cross over? Not because they weren't allowed, but because they weren't ready. Because part of them is still holding on, and part of us is too. 4. I wasn't there when they needed me. And perhaps the heaviest grief of all, the kind we carry in silence, is this: I wasn't there. They passed in a hospital room, or while we were asleep, or during a phone call we missed. We weren't holding their hand. We weren't whispering, I love you one last time. We weren't ready. And now we live with a space inside us that no words can fill. So many goodbyes never came. So many hugs never reached. So many memories ended mid-sentence. But here's the truth your soul might already know. Grief, in its quietest form, is love that had no place to go. And even if you weren't there when they left, your love still followed them. Because love never dies with the body. If grief is love that has nowhere to go, then healing begins the moment we realize love never left. 1. No one truly leaves alone. Every story we've heard, every whisper from the threshold of life and death, echoes this truth. No soul walks that path alone. Some are met by angels, radiant and calm. Some see their mother, standing with arms open wide. Some are greeted by a light that speaks not in words, but in a love so deep. It makes them weep. Even in the darkest departures, even in quiet hospital rooms or sudden moments, there is a presence, a stillness, a guiding hand, just beyond what we can see. 2. And if the soul hesitates, the light waits. Some souls don't leave right away. They linger, not because they're punished, not because they've been rejected, but because they weren't ready. Maybe they were confused, maybe afraid, maybe there was something they were still holding on to. But here's the grace. The light does not disappear. It waits, patiently, lovingly, until the soul is ready to cross. And sometimes, we are the ones who help them find the courage. 3. Love from the living can guide the way your love matters, even after they're gone. Your prayers, your memories, your forgiveness, they're not just comfort for the living. They become light for the dead. A whispered, "I miss you." A candle lit at dusk. A moment of silence as their name fills your heart again. These are not small things. They are lanterns on the path. They are gentle reminders to the soul. You are not forgotten. You are still loved. You can go in peace. 4. A place prepared, a love that waits. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you. John 14:2. This is not the voice of judgment. It is the voice of welcome, of preparation, of belonging. No matter who they were, no matter what they carried, there is room. There is light. There is home. Because love does not say, "You should have." Love says, "I'm still here." If your heart has ever whispered a name into the silence, if you've ever hoped they made it to where they were meant to go, then know this. The story didn't end with goodbye. Love never stops reaching, and it never stops waiting. Now, close your eyes for just a moment. Picture everything we've spoken of. The soft light that fills the room, the quiet figure standing near, a hand extended, calm and steady, a voice, or maybe not even a voice, but a knowing smile that feels like home, a mother waiting, a brother reaching out, an angel standing at the edge of eternity, or a being of light whose presence speaks only love. No matter how the moment looks, the message is always the same. You are not alone. You are safe now. Maybe you didn't get to say goodbye. Maybe you weren't there when they left. Maybe your heart still carries 1,000 words left unspoken. But here's what the soul knows. In a place beyond language, beyond time, true love always finds its way, even beyond the veil, even beyond the final breath. Nothing is lost. Nothing that was real will ever be forgotten. Love does not die. So if you're still holding on to that last goodbye, let this be the moment you remember. You were loved. They were loved. And love is still reaching. If this message brought someone to mind, a face you miss, a name you whisper when no one else is listening, take a moment, breathe, and if it feels right, write their name in the comments. Just a name, a light. Let it be your way of saying, "I still remember." You are still loved. And if this journey touched something in your heart, share it with someone who may be quietly searching too. Because healing spreads when remembrance is shared. And when you feel ready, stay with us. There are more stories coming, more questions whispered by the soul, more glimpses beyond the veil. If this spoke to you, subscribe to the channel, not just to watch, but to walk with us. Because love doesn't end, and neither does the search for what comes after.